welcome back. It's Christine again with the Artist Pod, and today we're going to talk about how to draw a cute baby pig. So, let's get arting. Alright, so here's the pig already sketched out. Now pigs, they have pink skin and white fur. And so I'm going to experiment a bit with layering some pink underneath the white fur on him and see how that works, but it may not work out, so we'll see how that goes. Now their noses and the inside of their ears don't have any of that fur, and this is some of the piglets you can kind of see right around their eyes, some of that skin, so some of that I may leave to be more prominent, but we'll see. So when I'm adding this in, right, I'm just sort of adding that first layer of skin. When I add the white on top of it, I'm hoping it'll create just that little bit of a pink showing underneath. Now what I'm doing here, typically once I start filling in, I start adding the shadows and highlights, and I'm not really focused on shadows and highlights here because the skin's going to be under the fur. I don't want it to be overwhelming, and so while I'm thickening up the lines, I'm making, more lines. I'm not putting a lot of pin pressure. My pin pressure is still very light so that it comes through very light, that it's, doesn't overwhelm whatever's going to be on top of it. I still want to make sure anytime I do something like this where I have a double layer, it's harder to indicate shadows and highlights because I'm eliminating some of that shadow power, basically. And then I added a little bit of the white because I still wasn't certain at that point if it was going to work. I opted to go ahead and try it anyway. That I didn't have enough information, and so I went ahead and filled in the rest of the pink. I basically didn't want to fill in the whole thing if it wasn't going to work. But I decided at this point it was close enough I could give it a go. And so then I'm adding the sketch layer for the fur before I start adding the highlights and shadows. And the light source is coming from above and to the right, so below and to the left will be in shadow. And on a lot of animals like cats and dogs and those sorts of things, their noses are a bit flush, so even on that other side next to the nose there's a little bit of light. On pigs that's not necessarily true because their noses aren't flush to their face, right? Like it really comes forward, and so it would cast a shadow. But I do put a little bit of a highlight under the eye. It just sort of helps indicate, even if you typically wouldn't see it, it helps sort of fool our eyes into thinking, the eye's coming back out of a socket. So there's going to be a little bit of a bump in light. It's just the way I show that is I just put a little bit of highlight under the eye on the shadowed side. And then the nose, very much like, like the head, right? Like above and to the right is going to be in much more of a highlight than below and to the left. But because their noses are a little bit more flat, the highlight's going to carry over a little bit further. And then the highlights and shadows on the ears, right? The left ear isn't going to pick up as much light, so it's going to stay relatively shadowed. And then the eyes, I readjust this several times to make it small enough that it doesn't overpower the image. Alright, so that is how you draw a baby pig. I hope that was helpful. In the floating nether next to me, I have other videos of art tutorials I have done, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much. Take care.